Destin Fire Control District Board of Commissioners to order. We're at the 848 Airport Road, Station 9 in Destin, Florida, on February 14, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. The meeting is open to the public. Second part of the agenda is public comments. Is there any public comments at this time? The floor is open to public comments. Would you like to comment? Okay. All right, this time I'll close it to public comments and move to 3, which is a presentation for approval of healthcare insurance coverage. David E. Barton, Employee Benefit Solution. Seeing that he's not present.
Due to traffic,
Due to traffic,
request that we kind of move it down the agenda.
Okay, we'll move it down to the agenda, and when he comes in, we'll let him jump in. Okay? All right, reviewing the minutes, regular meeting, January 10th, 2017.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting, January 10, 2017.
Second. All right, we got a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. Unanimous. Review the financial report, January 31st, 2017.
The financial statements before you, as you're looking at the balance sheets, beginning on page 8, you will notice that our cash position has increased. That's due to the collection of ad valorem taxes. We're starting to see a substantial amount of our collection coming in. So transfers have been made from our general checking account at Trustmark into the Florida Local Government Investment Pool. So we can take advantage of getting as much investment income as we can. We do expect a transfer as much as possible at this point to maintain what I feel is a minimum balance in the account right now. We're currently at about $200,000 cash in the account right now. That's kind of the floor we want to have it. We will continue to receive ad valorem taxes over the next few months. And beginning in the month of May, I've projected out that we're going to have to take monthly redemptions from the day-to-day fund through September to pay for the rest of our fiscal year. And then come October and November, we'll have to take one redemption from the bond fund. You know, we want to keep as much funds as we can in the bond fund. We don't want to take them out as frequently. We're not going to garner the investment revenue that we're looking for by doing that. So one time a year is the anticipation to redeem from that fund, and that will occur expected to occur in October. Accounts receivable still show high at the end of January. However, at this point, the collection for our last payment from the TDC has been approved by the Board of County Commissioners. It was approved at their meeting on February 7th, so I expect to receive that check within the next week. And then we'll talk further about accounts receivable when we get to old business. As far as liabilities go, accounts payable are a little high ending a month, and that's just timing. Payables were paid on February 3rd, so it's just a timing issue of that. No vendors were paid late or anything. It's just it didn't get them out at the end of the month. As far as the next few pages are revenues over expenditures. As I've already mentioned, ad valorem taxes have come in. We've actually collected about $2.2 million in the month of January. And our collection rate as of January 31st is a little bit higher than where we were last year. So the tax collector is continuing to, shall we say, improve little by little every year. The only other item to mention as far as income goes, interest on investments, which is our general checking account, and then the unrealized gain or loss. We actually had an unrealized gain of approximately $4,800 for the month of January. So it was good to see a bit of a reversal from what we had compared to the first quarter of our fiscal year. For the expenditures, we're 1/3 through our fiscal year at this point, so we're looking at a target remaining percentage of 67%. And really, the only item that I'm going to mention in this report is we're going to be monitoring our repair and maintenance for our vehicles as we go through the month. We have had larger than normal expenditures up to this point, so we'll make sure that we keep an eye on that category.
Which vehicle was that?
Ladder 10, and we talked about this last month, had a very large $17,000 expenditure for leaf springs and chapels.
Right.
Catherine, can I back up to the interest on investments? Do we have any issues with the rate that we're getting? Those are just our lumpy cash flow. We're just now getting to the point where we've got a lot of cash to get interest on, right?
Right, now, we're not having any problems with the rate. Our local depository is, giving us competitive rates for local banks.
Right.
If there's any other questions?
Any other questions? Motion to approve?
So make a motion to approve the financial report, January 2017.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the financial report. Any more discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. Unanimous. All right, moving into old business. Planning project, Chief.
Yes, sir. We don't have anything to report. I would ask the board if it would be all right if we remove this particular item from old business until we have something actually to report. So that way we don't have to keep going through this each month. We've kind of been stalled because of a lot of other things that have been going on, taking priority, because we do have a 5-year plan in place, although it's not necessarily what we're looking for and what we would eventually like to be, but we do have one in place. So I would ask the board again if we could just remove this from the agenda, and then at the time that we have something to report, we'll put it place back on.
Is there any objection?
I would think we'd have it back on here in 2 months.
Yes,
Kind of time frame.
yes, sir. It was just we haven't had, and if we
Right.
can kind of remove it just as soon as we have something.
Public Information Coordinator, agreeing with the Public Information Officer.
Yes, sir, you have an agreement in front of you. It's kind of been modified, and I've kind of worked with Mr. McCraw and Dawn and Ms. Catherine to work up this agreement. I believe the board has seen it. The only minor change that you will see that from the one that you received last night is on the 3rd page, second paragraph, where we inserted without prior approval of the Board of Commissioners. So that if Mr. McCraw comes up with an idea where maybe there's a way to raise funds or do something different, he wants to make a presentation to the board with some ideas, and maybe it involves commissioner or something, but it will not happen without the approval of the board, and he can do so that way. So it kind of leaves it open, and if it goes that way, he can't bring it before the board. But he can't do anything without the board's approval. That's what I want to make sure of. Other than that, I don't think there's any changes from the one that I think Ms. Catherine sent the board last night.
Any questions? Need a motion to approve.
Yes, sir.
You go administration? Okay. Make a motion that we approve the public information coordinator.
Second. All right, I got a motion to approve the Public Information Coordinator and a second. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
And then I'd also like to say, Mr. McCraw is here, and I'd like him to kind of give the board a little update of where we are. He and I have kind of been working through since the last meeting, this meeting, doing a lot of groundwork, kind of building the foundation to launch several platforms within social media. So he's kind of working on that. You have inserted there some ideas and how we're going to kind of change the headers and things like that, so it's not becoming stale, and he's working on those things and be able to launch that. So, and he can kind of give, he's got a short read, a medium-sized read. That'd be all right with the board for him to be able to provide that verbally to the board. Mr. McCraw?
Just a real quick analysis of We've started working on design elements for the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. Basically, what you have in front of you is the design of the Facebook page. What was decided is it needs to be a government, since it is a government function, this will be a government Facebook page. One thing that's really good about a government Facebook page is that we can request that there be no advertising on there, so there's no sponsorship, no advertising, and that way it's all about the message and nothing about people popping up their shoes or whatever they want to. So that is one of the many reasons that you, of course, want to make it a government function as a regular Facebook page. This is all set up, ready to go, basically. The headers that you see there, the one at the far right on page, I think it's the 20B, that one it would be the small profile image that goes off to the right. The others would be the cover images that you can see one illustrated in the Facebook page there. And you don't, what I'd like for you to do is I just gave, those are basically the layout for a few headers that we would probably rotate and use so that we could make sure that we have a consistent rotation, new fresh information on the Facebook page. Once that, but if there's anything in there that anybody on the board sees that they do not like as far as a header, then certainly tell me, and I labeled them A, B, C, D as far as a cover page. So just let me know if there's something in there that you don't like and we won't use it. I'll just delete it from the portfolio.
Can
And we'll
I make
also,
a comment on that?
Sure.
Because something struck me is I would yield in a heartbeat to any of these gentlemen.
Right.
For what I'm about to say, but our objective, purpose, and mission is to prevent fires and put out fires.
Mhm.
Why would we have our logo on fire?
right. That,
Doesn't make any sense.
I just created that. And like I said,
It's
if you notice,
Yeah.
the one that I used was the one that I like the best, which
Right.
is the Destin Fire. And then, now if you want to change that profile, that was just an image that illustrated the axes. You know, it's something that I found in big stock. So now we can just make that the logo itself without the axes on it. That's fine. And then yeah, that's really the only image. The other is using basically photographs of the fire truck itself as backgrounds. As we go along and build up more photos, and I get more photos from other sources, we'll start putting those into the covers, and also we'll create little comments, like when we share data, share information, we'll create little images to go along with that, because images always get people's interest in it rather than just plain text. A lot of times we will do plain text. That's the other thing that we will be working on is, well, let me finish with this, is if you guys are okay with this, and of course everything changes, it's fluid. We can change anything in it. But what my plan is to get this recorded. I already have the January meeting recorded, and I'll put those up on their channel, the actual channel tomorrow, and so we could actually start, Facebooking and sharing the data Thursday if everybody's ready for that. And then what we'll do is we'll launch it. We won't really launch it. We don't have to publish it, but everybody can look at it. Make sure that all the data is correct, the about, the phone numbers and everything, and then we will actually invite people to start sharing it on Facebook. So my plans would be, if everybody was in agreement, to do that Thursday and just get started as soon as possible. Get it close to the meeting, and then from this point forward, our goal would be every Thursday after the meeting to go ahead and place that up. I'm also planning on the new emergency room that's opening. Talk to the chief. I'm going to go out there with him. That's going to be the start of that process. I'll take the camera. The one thing that I am going to do is keep the video camera for an extra day and see if there's any video out there that we might want to shoot, so that we can also have some moving projects that we can put together for the future. Go ahead.
That's a nice.
Thank you.
Okay. And really, the rest of it is just for the next 2 weeks, the chief and I will be getting together, doing calendar events, trying to plan things out so that we know, and also putting together strategically generic images that everybody will get a chance to look at, so that we can always be popping up at least 2 to 3 times a week even if there's nothing of other factors. And also deciding how we're going to, who's going to be able to administer on the site, things like that, and we'll discuss that. The chief will, from this point forward, unless someone needs me to speak, I'll just be speaking to the chief on everything. Okay. And then also getting with Catherine to go through on the website administration, so we can start cleaning that up and working on that. That's about it.
Thank you, Tracy.
And what I would plan to do is that under the chief's report, we'll put a PIO section so that I can kind of keep the board updated as to kind of where we are each month. And then I'll do that. Tracy and I obviously work it out where we are, what we're doing, but then I'll report to the board each month where we are.
All right, any comments or questions? Tracy? Seeing none, appointee to firefighters retirement trust fund.
Yes, sir. The two candidates, possible trustees, I'm trying to find an appropriate word, trustees for that position, two citizens of that position. One has acquiesced, and the other we kind of not had any contact with. So what I plan to do now is, as I did during when the last time when we had 3 positions open, and it was fairly significant to make that happen, I asked, was at the time Chairman Nielsen, to assist us in recruiting a pool of people to be able to kind of draw from. And he did such an outstanding job of that, and with his connections within the community, I'm going to elicit and ask for his assistance again and see if he can't help to formulate a pool, so we might be able to pull from those names. I apologize to the board. I wish I were able to bring forth, and we were kind of really hopeful, but that didn't pan out, which is fine. But we will continue our search, and we will and I will bring something back to the board just as soon as I can and have a report for the board next month. But I'll be contacting Mr. Wilson tomorrow morning and asking him if he would be willing to assist us. I know Jimmy. He's always been one that's been very supportive of the fire district and wanting to help, and I feel very confident that he will help us in this endeavor.
He's a good resource to draw from, so.
Yes, sir.
Good idea. All right, moving along, staff management wage increases.
Yes, sir. At the last meeting, there was a discussion, and then request to kind of see things side by side based upon those CBA, those are non-CBA employees, and myself. So therefore, that's kind of what you have in front of you. When you kind of look down the list of benefits in general, those are on the left. The 3 categories are to the right. We kind of broke up, as we kind of worked through this, we kind of broke up the 2 center, the CBA and at-will employees into 2 categories further, which would be shift and non-shift, because you have both in both categories. You have shift personnel and non-shift personnel in the CBA. You also have shift and non-shift personnel in the non-CBA personnel, or at-will employees. So, and then of course you have myself as well. So we kind of formulated that and provided it to the commission. Hopefully as is what the commission was looking for at the last meeting.
Looking over the benefits, since after the last negotiation, we try to separate the management from the employees, and as you can see here, the only difference is a minimum 1 hour that our management gets, where the firefighters, the union employees, the 1 hour difference, the only difference. But the things that aren't on here are our management works overtime and doesn't get paid for it. Where the union, they have 16 hours built in every pay period, where our staffer doesn't get that. That's something that we have to look at also. Also, I did a little bit of research, and the county this last year gave their employees a $1,000 raise, which is equivalent to about 2.5% increase. The Crestview Fire Department in the city police in Crestview, they received a 5% raise this year. That's the Crestview. Our city employees in Destin, they also got, it's broken up. They got 3%, 1% COLA, and a 2% increase for merit pay. And I can attest to our guys. I think our guys are above and beyond what, if we had merit, if we had evaluations, they would get full evaluations and merit raises and stuff. So therefore, I would still make the motion again, like I did last time. We give the staff, the management a 3% raise, retroactive back to October 1st, and Chief Sasser a 6% raise, because he did not receive a raise for the last several years, because he gave up and he wanted to make sure his staff got the raises first. So he deferred his raises and give him a 6% raise, retroactive back to October 1st, 2016. And that's my motion. Any questions?
I raised a question, I think, last meeting, and my concern was, we started out by saying we gave the union employees a raise, so we need to give everybody else. And I would argue we didn't give the union employees a raise, we negotiated a contract. There were 47 some odd topics or articles in there, pluses, minuses, everything else. Compensation was just one of them. And so that I raised the question here, and I tried to look at this and say, what is the value of the benefits package that we give each of these classes of employees? And it's pretty close, which is good, okay? So then I turn around in my conversation with the chief, I tell you, my question was, I have a hard time taking an across-the-board raise and calling it a merit raise. It's not. It's cost of living adjustment, or, geez, we've got extra money, let's just pay it. So I don't know what the right answer is, but I know what the right reason is. The right reason to do it is because our compensation is below market where it ought to be, and we ought to take our good people and put them up at where they are on the market. And what the city did with the COLA or the county did, I'm kind of blown away by it. Is there some way we can look at this stuff and say, okay, I mean, this is like the greater fool theory here, right? The city does that, so we'll go do this. I want to take care of our people, but we're coming out of a very difficult financial time, and if we take people, particularly people that are in, let's call them management roles, battalions and up, that kind of thing, they stay in that job and it goes up and up and up and up and up and up, and pretty soon you look at it and they're incredibly expensive. And that's because we all have a mindset of everybody gets a pay raise every year, every other year, or something. A little step increase kind of mindset. And I think we need to challenge that.
I'm all aware of increases every year, and believe me, I know during our negotiations, I did mention that what we gave and what I wanted to give are two different things, and I'm well aware of how much we can afford to give out and what we're not afford to give out. For me, justification is, it's hard to keep quality people. Now, if we gave these guys, the union, a raise, and we have captains right now that are making almost as much as our battalion chiefs. I mean, and they get paid overtime, which our battalion chiefs don't get overtime. They'll come in and work hours and hours. I'll come in on Monday, 9 o'clock, and they're still here talking to the chief. They're not getting paid. But if a union employee came and sat with the chief, he'd be getting paid at those 2 hours. So therefore, these guys are giving up a lot of their time to benefit us. And I like to give back to the firefighters a sharp appreciation that they do deserve some, they work hard, they deserve a raise.
Well, we got a motion on the floor to approve the staff management wage increases. Do we have a second? Seeing none?
Could we ask the chief to come to us with, by position, here's what a market comp ought to be and where we stand against that? So when we're off, we can fix it. I mean, a very small number of people, most of them are here. And we gotta get it right. But I think, it may well be that some of the positions are off substantial and others aren't. And it's not like hundreds of people.
My fear is, this is my fear, and it happened to me in my old position. We'll have a captain that's making whatever figure. All right, he's protected by the union. These guys went out of their way. They're not in the union. They could be fired anytime they want to.
That's right.
All right? Now, they're making, probably with overtime, they can make more than these guys. Now, when it comes time when these guys retire, who's gonna fill it, who's gonna want that position if we don't take care of our guys in management? Who's gonna fill that position? Because these guys are gonna say, I'm gonna sit back and do nothing with no responsibility and collect my money. These guys are, they're doing everything, they got total responsibility, and we have to look out for them and take care of them. That's the reason I'm saying.
I'm not against it, I'm just saying we need to be very thoughtful and lay out, and I'm not saying you're not, I'm just saying we really need to lay this out, and say, I mean, take captains and battalions and compare them. I mean, if we have overpaid captains, and nobody wants to be a battalion because they take a pay cut, that's not wrong. So, I don't know which end is wrong, but it's clearly odd, right? And on the other hand, we ought to look at, you know, the cost of living increases like other people do. We don't really talk about that. We just always throw a number out here. So I'm just suggesting we be very thoughtful, very professional in how we go at it. And I think, Chief, you need to come at us and say, here's your recommendation as to how we ought to deal with this. That'd be my thought.
If you would like, I can. As you noticed, I did. In 15, October 15, we put it before the board. I asked for all my employees, because it's been a significant period of time since they had received a raise. I asked for all the employees to receive 3%. Okay? And because there's negotiations that take place with the CBA, we can't make that decision. But we could for the staff. And that's what I asked for the staff. And asked that they not be tied to a CBA, that to be drawn out, because they don't, it's just that, it's not fair. I didn't feel. So I pressed for that, and the board saw to do that, and that was great. And I did. At the same time, when we put all of that together, and we put that for those very limited number that are in our staff, that was put forward, whether it was pulled, and you know how the story went with the rest of it. When it came to this time, I wasn't going to put forth or ask for anything. Commissioner Wagner had brought forth the idea. I did not, and therefore I didn't push for that. He said he was going to, and I acquiesced, and Commissioner Wilson did. So I wasn't pushing for it, but I can, and I have no issue with pushing for exactly what Commissioner Wilson asked for, which is a comparative analysis of if we're going to look at other area departments, because that was how we would kind of base it upon relative positions. I can absolutely do that. I have no issue with that. I've got a pretty good idea of where a lot of it stands already. Because I see those things, when we go through the negotiations, when we look at those things, we look at not only just the CBA employees, when we pull information, a lot of times we pull the information that gives all the department information. So I see a lot of it already, so I kind of got an idea of where we are. But I'll need to put that into some order so that you can evaluate it and then make a decision based upon that.
I would appreciate that.
I would like to also see, like we talked about before, some type of a cap too as well. So let's look at that as well. I mean, because
A cap is based upon this board, just like that. If you so choose not to give them anything any further, they're capped. You don't have to put a cap out there and say, this is what this is, and we're putting it on you, and that's it, it's not going to move. You decide that they're making enough money, they're making enough money, and they're capped, and that's where it's at. Because, and I say that, and because we have a contract locked down 3 years, except for if both parties agree to open it, or wages, that's it. That's where our contract is right now. It's locked down 3 years, except for that one item, unless everybody agrees. You can probably still put a cap in there on those, maybe, during that period of time for the wages. But then we're going to turn around and put that on the staff. Staff is controlled by this board. If this board feels as though the staff's making enough wages to stay, you don't have to put a cap on it. You don't have to say this is the amount of money they're making. But if you'd like to, you can. But I kind of look at it and go, if you think they're making enough money for the job that they're doing, then that's it, we're done. There's no need for to offer anything.
we'll just look at that, come back with us.
I don't,
With the cap.
one question. Good. Don, during contract negotiations, this commission is able to meet in an executive session, and that's probably the best free interchange of ideas we have. We argue with each other, we respect each other's opinion, and we get something done. Is there any way we can have the same kind of conversation about everybody else in the department?
I'll have to look to see if there's an
Thank you.
authorization for that, but usually it's only in negotiations, but I'll see if I can find something.
just seems like it's very helpful. I understand the sunshine law, but all of us have pretty strongly held views, and I think we influence each other and get to good answers when we can really have an open conversation about it.
I'd love for that to be able to take place, based upon my experience. 447, kind of covers that in statutes, 447, and that covers the contract, union, labor, employees. I don't know that there's an out, but I absolutely would ask Ms. Dawn to look into it. I don't
Please.
think the rest. But
That's a
I
good idea.
because I think that that would be a good exchange like this. And I agree with Mr. Wilson. I just don't know.
Well, instead of it dying, let's table it until next meeting.
Yep.
Is that okay?
I'll bring back to this board by next meeting, the evaluation as Mr. Wilson kind of stated, he would like to see. And then, and so we'll see what the board,
And find out if Ms. Dawn says we can do it.
if we can do that, I'll make the board aware of it prior to. And then we'll have a meeting even, if we're able to have that meeting, I would anticipate that the board is all right with it, if that is the case, to call one prior to the next meeting, so that you can have that open discussion before the next. And then come to the meeting with an idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Thanks, Chief. All right, moving to chief reports, speak safety. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Let's just stop here. David,
Okay.
you do your presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, everybody. My name is David Barton with Barton Fistermaker Pondello and Associates, and Scott Fistermaker's here with me as well to go through the health insurance options that were available this year for March 1, off anniversary start date. We're here to obviously answer any questions that the board may have, also to kind of give you an idea of why we had chosen the plan we chose, why we thought that made more sense for both the department and for the firefighters. And so you guys can guide me as to which you would like to talk about. Would you like to hear the plan on a line-by-line basis as far as co-pays, out-of-pockets, any of that kind of stuff? Or just wanted me to get to the details of why we proposed the plan?
I think the details you do.
Yep.
Okay. The thing we did, like we do every year, is we kind of analyze the benefits against the costs on the plans. We have insured your group for over 10 years now. We have always done that. We're not partial to just Florida Blue, so understand that. We have a lot of business with United Healthcare and with Aetna, and certainly don't mind selling any of those contracts. We did some evaluations on some United Healthcare plans that were very cost effective, and as a matter of fact, plan benefit wise and premium wise were stacked up very well with Blue Cross, even a little bit cheaper than Blue Cross in the analysis. What we didn't like was some of the things that was going to impact the firefighters. So what we looked at in trying to make this evaluation of going back to a copay driven plan as opposed to the high deductible plan with the health reimbursement account that we've had for the past several years. What we wanted to do was focus on something that had very low co-pays for the benefit of the firefighters. So when we look at doctor visits, we look at medications, things of that nature, we wanted to keep the co-pays down so there was a less expensive plan for the firefighters to use. Now, like I said, United Healthcare was competitive. They had some a little bit higher co-pays, but the premium was a little less. Here's why we didn't like the option of going to United Healthcare. It's quite simple because the transition from one company to another is always painful, okay, always. There are going to be many physicians that your employees would not be able to see that they have been seeing for 10 plus years. United Healthcare Network is not doctor for doctor the same. There's going to be some doctors you may have on the United Network that aren't on Florida Blue, and conversely, it's true if you were going from Florida Blue to United. So it doesn't matter which company you're transitioning to, you're going to have people that are impacted by not being able to see physicians that they've been using. Secondly, and probably most importantly, the transition from one carrier to another on all, post-Affordable Care Act plans is very difficult in regards to medications. Medications are really important. A lot of people take medications. It's a monthly occurrence, as you guys are probably aware, as I'm aware, and as these guys are aware. You know, when you got your wives, your kids, and yourself on medications. Moving from Florida Blue to United Healthcare in regards to medications is very difficult for a few reasons. Like I said, the ACAs cost some of that, but the bottom line is the carriers have all gotten very tight with regards to the formulary itself, you know, which medications will be covered, especially on the name brand side. So when you've got somebody taking a medication that's a tier 3 medication that, you know, they're currently using against their HSA, paying for it with department dollars from the HRA, and now we have to pay for it out of pocket, could be hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars a month. Okay, we do have some medications that people take, not necessarily in this group, that are literally thousands of dollars a month. So making that transition from one company to another is tough because there are going to be medications just flat are not covered with United Healthcare. Those that are, let's take a medication that, you know, somebody's been on for years and years, like Celebrex. Well, not all companies want to cover Celebrex, because quite simply there are some generic medications that they feel like work just as well. So you have to prove to the doctors, you have to go to the doctors, and you have to get pre-approval by writing letters of medical necessity, which actually constitutes whether or not that person can take that medication. Doctor has to say, we've tried these 3 generics, these 2 name brands, none of those work, and you have to have documentation that those people have been on those medications for at least 60 days, and they didn't work correctly. There were some side effects, or they just didn't work well. That's the only way you can get those types of medications covered. The other thing is they have quantity limits now. Many carriers do quantity limits, saying we'll approve that medication, but we'll only, migraine medications is the primary example. We'll approve the medication, but you can't get 1 for every day. You can only get 3 a month. So I guess if you have more than 3 migraines, you're kind of out of luck. For use of the best term I could think of, you're out of luck in that situation. So those are some of the things we just did not like about transitioning to United Healthcare. Now, a couple of other things I was going to mention. You are currently, you know, you're going to be using the same network with Florida Blue, keeping the employees being able to use their same doctors, using the same medications. Those are both very important. You also have to understand in this situation that, you know, your department pays a majority share of the premium. We insure some other fire departments where dependents are covered at, so they don't pay anything towards dependents. And we have another fire department that pays 50% of dependents. With you guys paying 90% of dependents, if they were on 50% cost share with you guys as opposed to 90%, the employees for their families would be paying $5,943 more out of their pocket just in premium if we were on a 50-50 basis. So you guys are doing as a board, doing a tremendous service to the employees in regards to the premium that you're paying, and that offsets a lot of out-of-pocket costs that they would have. With health insurance, what people fail to what they fail to recognize, what they fail to see all the time is they're looking at one side or the other. What's my out-of-pocket cost in the event that I use the plan? And worst case scenario for a family on this plan is $10,000, which is obviously a lot of money. But again, they're not paying almost $6,000 in premiums. For a family to pay $10,000 in out-of-pocket costs in a year on one of these copay-driven plans, very difficult to get to, very difficult. You'd really have to have 2 people in the family hospitalized, which is an unusual situation. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, it's just an unusual situation for 2 people in a family. So the premium offset you guys are doing helps them in the event that, you know, they do have an out-of-pocket occurrence, that's really all they're worried about as opposed to paying premium and paying the out-of-pocket. So does that kind of make sense? So in a nutshell, that was our evaluation of the situation, trying to keep the affordability for the department to continue to do the 90% cost share and having a plan that was easy to use for the employees by keeping the same company and secondly, by not changing all the doctors and the medications at the same time. So it's a less painful transition.
Mr. President, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I want to make sure we have good insurance for our firefighters. So compared to other plans that you administer, how is this one ranked compared to the other ones that you have?
This is an excellent plan. If you compare plans nowadays with the Affordable Care Act, which is all you can buy now, you have plans that are bronze, silver, gold, platinum. There are no platinum plans available for groups, but the gold plans are as good as you can get, and this is a gold plan with affordable. It's an excellent plan. I would love to be on it myself, especially with the cost share that you guys do for FEMA.
David, would you have any issues with meeting with the firefighters if they have any questions concerning?
We actually already have meetings set up with the firefighters.
Okay, good.
We do that every year. We see you guys usually in here, go to the other station if we need to. So, yeah, the firefighters are our clients, just like you guys are. They have as much access to myself and our agency as you guys do.
Good. Well, David, I've heard you've done a great job, you and your staff, with the guys, meeting with them and readily available to them, so we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Moving right along, chief reports. Do we have to vote on?
Sure. You need to vote to accept that plan, make the change
Oh,
from the
okay,
current
so-
plan to this plan.
All right. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. 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 Unanimous. All right, chief reports, speed safety update, donation to Destin Pool.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few items. We will be back in service on March the 11th, which is really just around the corner. We were in the water today. It's warm. New vehicles received and they're being modified. And other than that, our next training course is March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Also at that time, for the first time, in the CBA, as you're well aware, gentlemen on shift will be trying to pass their 550-yard or 500-meter swim. Unfortunately, we have to do that in Fort Walton, and that's where the Destin Pool donation kind of comes in. It's being asked of our line personnel, as well as lifeguards, you have to pass the swimming. We don't have a pool in this town. They are taking donations. Currently, their goal is for $180,000 for that pool. They currently have 60. Next week, they're on the city's agenda, and they're going to present them with a shopping list and say, would you, and I asked for the up-to-date list, and I did not get it before this meeting. I asked at 12 o'clock. I was trying to get it as close as possible, so I do not have an updated list. But basically, the donations are, it's a capital campaign, so that we can get that pool open. And I just wanted to bring it before this board because there is a necessity for this district to have something in our town, especially now that our new hires as well are being asked to do that. They're driving around in town on these beach trucks, and we want them to be able to swim. For them to, and the lifeguards to be able to just go right over there by Home Depot and get that done, it would be a benefit. So I'm asking for a donation. I don't know if a dollar amount, if we need to maybe go and do some homework and come back to a second meeting, but I'm just asking for you to entertain that now, or come up with a dollar amount now, but I feel strongly about it. I think Chief feels strongly about it. We met with the staff last week, so.
With the donation, are we guaranteed full time, or we have to pay again, or?
This,
what's the deal?
we would, but it's really, we would get benefit, possibly reduced rates, in the future. This is to get the doors open so that we can get into that position. I want to use an example as like Coast Swim Team. They've been there for the longest time. They helped float that pool more so than we did because we're a small group. They're going to have priority. But I think the way it's been explained to me is like, you've been a supporter. If you're continuing to support, we're going to give you priority. How that shapes up, I don't know yet. I don't think they know yet either because right now there's frogs in the pool. So we need to get to that step first. So yeah, to answer that question, I would say yes, but to give you specifics, it's to, or?
Could you find something about that? I don't mind donating, but as long as we get something for it, guaranteed time, or when we go to train our guys, that we're not gonna be stuck with a enormous amount of bill also on top of that.
Sure.
I would rather just pay the bill and be done with that.
Chief, didn't we do something like that in the past, YMCA?
We have, but
It wasn't a
but
donation,
the
it was a
difference-
pay.
Yeah, I understand the difference here is seed money. Before the pool was already open and it was operating, when we donated a certain amount of money, we got a certain amount of swim time for the
Right.
donation that we received. The difference here is we're looking for seed money to get the pool open. So, that's kind of to get it open. It's not no guarantee or anything that kind of comes along with the swim time or anything, because they're not open yet. There's not even a guarantee that they're gonna get enough money to open the pool. So, but we're hopeful, and we're going to help in ways that we can, whether it's talking to others in the community and those kind of things, try to help them raise funds outside of just talking to this board, because we do feel that it's very important for our department and what we do, surrounded on water by 3 sides, the requirements now that we're asking new employees, plus the ability that we're asking our current employees to be able to show that they have certain abilities. I think it's a tremendous benefit. And yes, we have provided funding for the YMCA back when the YMCA was there, and we were able to get time for that. I would think with this, and this is where Joe will probably have to do a little bit more discussion with them to say, if we provide some additional seed money, are we gonna be able to be guaranteed time in the pool? Because that's what it's all about, we need to get into the pool. Whether it's, we can get 5 to 6 in the morning or what, but we'll guarantee pool time. So is there's something kind of going to, you know, Mr. Wilson, I see you have
Just
thoughts.
to give you an idea as well, like this ties into the junior program. We started having the kids learn to swim, but it's hard to teach someone how to swim in the Gulf. They need the controlled environment of a swimming pool. The lifeguards, we've already come out of pocket $500 ourselves as a donation. That's how strongly we feel about it. The foundation is working on, we're looking at $1,000. So that's from our pockets going into it. I'm not saying that you need to match that, or just to give you an idea, that all, it does tie together. I mean, and Panama City has one, how we don't have one, that just bothers me.
Well,
We need a pool.
I'd feel better if you had a package to present.
I
Okay.
think there's just I worry about donations with government entities. I mean,
Yeah.
the city of Destin wants to donate to the Boy Scouts. Hell, take your own money and donate it, right? That's my money, it's taxpayers' money. And I think I applaud you for donating because you feel strongly, and I donate a lot to things I care about. I don't donate other people's money. Now, we run a commercial operation, we have a revenue stream to support our beach safety program. We have needs, we ought to pay to meet those needs, and keep it at that level would be my thought.
Right.
How big a pool do you need?
25 yards would be.
Not quite.
75.
But close, not close.
Yeah,
But
just
I can offer up Joseph Bayou if you want to swim in real water.
25 yards just makes it easier to count laps to be able to get the nine.
Right. You get dizzy trying to do that in a little pool.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, but, so you're gonna bring us back the package so we can.
Yeah, when you
look
say
at
that,
it?
would you want the shopping list or a donation list or what?
Shopping list, whatever,
It's just something, okay.
yeah, something that we
Okay.
can sink our teeth into. and
Sure.
look at.
I would suggest that you, whatever they're willing to do, you need some sort of deposit up front to help them get it open. You need some sort of recurring support during some period of time. And then it becomes an operating expense for our beach safety
Right,
program.
right.
No big deal.
Right.
But it's just kind of on a business level, not a charity level.
Yeah,
As in, like I said, as in, we provide X dollars, we'd be guaranteed that we would have time in the pool.
that's what I
So
was
that's
talking about
kind of how we
last time.
get it there, instead of saying, we're just gonna donate it, and then we'll work out whether or not we get swim time. No, if we're gonna donate because we need the swim time in the pool, that's the reason that we're interested.
okay. So we're just coming back with
Yeah,
information
sure,
for next time.
absolutely.
Thank you. All right, training report?
Yes, sir, before we get into that, I wasn't gonna, before Joe, I was gonna wait until I had the opportunity to speak in reference to the chief's report. We went through a hiring process. We had 7 outstanding candidates. We ended up having over 40-some odd applications. Of those viable applications that we could actually test, we're down in the 30s, mid-30s. We sent out invitations to all of those that had applied, that were eligible, meaning, you know, firefighter, EMT, or at least hadn't been to the school, and all they had to do was take the test and that kind of thing. So anyway, we ended up having 7 applicants come and test with us. Fortunate, those 7 were very strong candidates. Went through our physical agility well, performed extremely well. We brought all 7 in for interviews. We interviewed all 7. From those 7, we hired 3. I can tell you the battalions were very impressed with the 3, hands down, were the 3 that they wanted to hire. And the reason I'm kind of bringing that forward is we look to put them on by the 1st of March. And we've actually have one that wants to move up to the area, go ahead and get started as soon as possible. We're going to put them on just as soon as they become available, after they've met all the criteria that we need, physicals, drug tests, that kind of thing. As soon as that's done, we will put them on, just as soon as they're available to do so. With that said, we have one that has came up. They're doing their physicals this week. One is currently sitting in the audience. I'd like to introduce him. It's Travis Talbert, and he's sitting right next to Battalion Chief Taylor.
Welcome, Travis.
This is Travis.
Thanks for applying to coming on board.
Yep, he's a new member of our family, and we're excited to have him on board. Again, I say he performed well, interviewed well. We're very happy with the 3 we hired. Outstanding candidates, outstanding people. We know there are other departments that would love to have the 3 that we have. And I know that because I know at least one of them, there were others that were interested in, but they were very dead set that this is where they wanted to work. So that's great.
What shift is Travis going to? B shift. All right.
Today should.
Good deal.
I don't know yet, I'll get back with you.
Welcome aboard, Travis. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll go back onto the training report if that's all right now. As you'll see, we got 26 hours of training. Of significance, what you'll see is the NFPA 1410 training that we do at Herbert Field. We go to Herbert Field because we do not have a training facility that's recognized as a training facility for us, so we go to Herbert Field to get those hours in. And in doing so, we went there 3 times, so that way we could get 3 sessions in of 3 hours apiece, so that way we can get the credit for 3 sessions. So we're trying to knock that out when the season's out, so that we can get it in when we're not real busy. So that's of significance there. But again, 26 hours when we're really shooting for kind of 20, that's great. So if we keep that up, then maybe in December, we can kind of roll back on the hours. That's what we're kind of looking for. But good training.
Any questions? Inspection report?
Thank you, Chairman Moore. As you know, this is my last commissioners meeting. So before I get into the inspection report, I'd just like to say a couple thank yous if I may. First of all, to the firefighters. It's been a real pleasure to work with so many of you over the years. I think you're a really great bunch.
Swell.
To the battalion chiefs, Jimmy, Bronson, Hutch, in memory, Mike Urenda, and to Catherine and Allison, thanks for keeping me straight when I needed it and on my toes the rest of the time. I've gained a tremendous amount of respect for the work that y'all do. It's a lot more than most people know. Captain Matt Taylor, you accepted me from the day I walked in here, and I greatly appreciated it and made it so much easier for the transition. I've been very fortunate to have you as my lieutenant inspector. Chief Sasser, thank you for allowing me to stand at the window, not sit in a chair. Interrupt you in mid-sentence and questioning you in areas that are not my expertise. Thank you for trusting me to do my job. Mostly though, just thanks for accepting me for the way I am. And to the commissioners, you have a tough job and are often underappreciated for the work that you do. I think, well, I know it has been a privilege and a pleasure to know each and every one of you. It has been my honor to have served this district as a fire marshal. I will miss this place and the people here. Thank you.
We're gonna miss you.
We miss you, Ron.
As for the inspection report,
Yeah, what?
the information has been provided to you. If you have any specific questions, I'll be glad to address them. I think I've said that once or twice over 8 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service, Ron.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any questions? Thank you for it. Moving on, response change report.
Yes, sir, you have it in front of you. You see, we have the start of the new year. Report is very similar to what it has been. Not a lot of differences, what we see throughout the year. You'll see though, when we get to the pie charts, that what kind of, and it's kind of reflective in the slower months, that the percentages change when we look at the fire rescue versus medical responses, which is kind of down at the bottom. You start looking at those percentiles. When we before said we can get up to 75 to 80% of the call volume being medical, or you'll see as these months kind of slow down and the calls that we run, we kind of talk about those multi-threats being fire, although you might have a medicals involved in some multiple threat call. That is going to be a fire rescue call versus a strictly medical call. So I think categorizing it in such a way shows you where we truly are in reference to that split. Gives us a truer look at the split and the percentages. And you see that in front of you with a 58% of the calls were medical, 42% were fire rescue. So, and we had a similar split to that last year. It was a little higher in the medical in the 60s, but now we're talking about we've dropped below 60 in the 58, which I think is reflective of a lot of things, slower season, how we're categorizing these multiple threat calls. And I think it is also reflective of the response change that you see at the top, where you see the actual call volume that we had, 182 calls. The potential would have been around 228, so that means the response change that we put into effect reduced the call volume by 46, meaning that there were 46 calls that we additionally could have went on had we not made the change that we did. That we would look at those as the non-emergency medical type calls, the dog locked in the car, or going down to the nursing home when we're not necessarily needed. But if we're needed, we go. All we have to do is say we need you, and we're there. So, and there are some of those there. I do not reflect it in the report, but there are those volume of calls where we do go, where they do request us for those. We are tracking that, so we do have that. But it's just not reflected in this report.
Any questions?
Yeah, Chief, there's a lot of press right now in the county about EMS.
Yes, sir.
Turnover, shortage, vehicles, all that. Are we involved in any of those conversations?
No, sir, we have not been. Would you just
I mean, I guess it's just
entertain?
when you gotta solve that kind of problem,
It's a big problem.
one of the models nearby is South Walton, they solved it a different way.
Yes, sir.
Our model is we keep running medical calls and we keep having fewer and fewer EMS vehicles in our district. Maybe it's worth having a conversation to see if there isn't some common ground we can find.
I will entertain that conversation. I know, I sat on the hiring board that hired the public safety director. I think I know him well. And I can entertain that and have a conversation with him for sure. And, you know, the byproduct of kind of what you're seeing, and nobody probably wants to talk about it much. The byproduct of kind of what you're seeing when systems start to go this direction is then you see privatization. Good, bad, indifferent, I don't know, Santa Rosa County doesn't. Okay, so, you know, toss it up. I think it's just the flavor of whatever you prefer. In the event that something were to kind of go that way, I think we would have more discussions in reference to the direction that we may need to go.
We a whole different world.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna be getting cats out of trees and all that crap again. We don't wanna do that.
Yeah, I agree. There is, there is a significant difference, and we can go through a litany of differences between a governmental run entity or service and a privately run service. There is a profit that has to be generated within that service. So it makes a significant difference. We know this. So I think I'll have some conversations with you and see kind of where they're going and what they're doing, and kind of, at least if nothing else, cast the line out and say it's out there in the water if it need to be, we're there.
Thank you. Any more questions? All right, overtime report?
Yes, sir, you have it there in front of you. We did have some sicknesses and some issues, medical issues that were occurring within the last month or two. You can see that in December, and then some in January, but it slowed down significantly in January as compared to February.
Any questions?
But again, we typically don't pay overtime unless it's due to a sickness that kind of puts us in that ball.
Well, with 3 hires, we should see that reduce a little bit, correct?
I would hope so, yes, sir. Just as soon as we can kind of get them there, I would think it will slow down. And then before we get off of the chief reports, and so I don't have to interrupt later on in the meeting, Ron kind of fired the first shot. So, I'd like to say a few words about Ron if I could. I will also say some additional words when we have the luncheon for him. Ron kind of come to us truly, as we have done with other positions within this department, we recruit. And when we go to recruit, we recruit the best. So there was no doubt in my mind Ron's talents and abilities. And we went and recruited him. Tuffy and I both did. And Ron accepted the position. And it was truly a blessing to have him here. The experience that he brings to the table is irreplaceable. Matt will be taking his place. And it's not a reflection on Matt, but it's a reflection on the experience and the skill set that Ron brought to the table that we'll miss. Ron, through his military career, for well over 25 years, and retired out as a Chief Master Sergeant, brings a unique set of skills to the table that is very unique for me as a chief. More than just a fire marshal, he was someone that I could bounce ideas off of and ways to handle issues and problems as they come forward, based upon the experience he brought to the table as a chief. He has been a chief, not a fire chief, but still a chief. And that, with that responsibility, he helped and provided input, even if it was input I did not necessarily agree with. And sometimes he might have interjected it when I didn't ask for it, but he knew that that's the relationship that we have. And I was truly very appreciative of it. So as a department in whole, we will miss him because of the skill sets and the things he brought to the table. And he'll be a very interesting, great person to work with. We just don't miss the lunch bell because he's hangry. So now he doesn't have to worry about that. He can lunch anytime he wants. So, and we'll have one more lunch for him before he retires. And I was hopeful that he'd change his mind. I mean, I didn't want to kind of put it on the board too early. He made me aware. I was kind of hopeful he would reconsider and kind of want to miss the job and all that. But the allure of the grandkids and being able to see them more often, I couldn't overcome. I tried. I didn't really want to miss it, but he's made the decision. So, thank you, Ron, very much.
All right, new business, accounts receivable.
At the last meeting, we discussed the fact that over the past few years, we've had some issues collecting. We've got about 19 businesses in the area that we have problems collecting re-inspection fees for. And we had a discussion as far as what options do we have moving forward to try to collect these? Do we have any? So General Counsel Stunts, she was able to do some research for us, and she put together for us, which is in your package, the fact that we can issue liens should the commission decide to go this direction as a for collection effort. She has cited the statutes in which allows us to do this. It will only allow us to do it for the re-inspection fees. Can we do that for I guess I need to find out whether we can do it for malfunction fees, which were another fee that was approved.
Alarm.
Yeah, alarm fees as well. We won't be able to do it, if we have a hold a CPR class off-site, charge $1,000 for it. We won't be able to, go after that, but that's something we'll just change our methods. We do not have any outstanding receivables for any services like that, but we can change methods to collect first before we hold those classes to prevent any risk of non-collection. So she's put before us on page 42, there is a demand letter that we can send to the businesses, and should that fail, then we can proceed with the lien. The cost of the lien would, for Attorney Stunt's services, and the cost to file the lien would be $50, and that in turn would be passed along through the lien to the business. So essentially, there would be no cost to the district to collect this. We currently have 19, which is approximately $1,400. And there's one that's out of business, which we're going to have to write off. We review that on an annual basis. And the other collections will range from $25. They range from 25 to about 125. We do have one that's about 325. The collection efforts which I've undertaken, which is reaching out to corporate departments or the presidents, sending out statements, calls. Some of them I'm unable to collect at this point. So if the board would like to begin implementing this kind of procedure, we have the authority to do so.
Let me refresh my memory. So the first time we go out, there's a problem, there's no charge. We come back and the problem is fixed, there's no charge.
Correct.
We come back the third time because the problem was wrong, something's still wrong, then we charge the third time.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah, all right, just want to make sure that was.
Right, you're exactly right. The first inspection, when we come out, is free, because that kind of comes with the territory. And then what we did step up and do is that when we go out for that first time, they went, oops, I haven't got my extinguisher done. So we go, okay, we'll go ahead and get it done and we'll come back. Then we come back and it's done, no charge. We come back and it's not done, then because we've got to come back the time after, you will pay for that time after.
Right.
So it's the third visit we charge for.
Third visit, right.
So by the time they get here, we've been talking to them for a long time.
Right.
Yes, to this point, absolutely, because Ms. Catherine sends other notices, and that's multiples of those.
So, the ones we've had these conversations with just snub their nose at us. They're just saying, we're not paying.
Yes, it'll range from, it's
I
your
have no
problem to, I don't know who you can talk to about this, call back again, or they're not here, a complete avoidance.
And what we've listed is that, we send them a letter, and we'll send the letters, and then we'll ask the Stunts to send a letter from our attorney stating these are the possible consequences if this isn't paid, and then if we get no response, then we turn to this.
This might be a stupid question, but if somebody's just running the building and a business and it's not their building, who do you go after? Do you go after the owner of the building, or do you go after the business?
The business.
Business.
The business? You can lean on the business?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to accept this?
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
And I'll second it.
All right.
Yep.
Any
Thank you.
further discussion? Call for vote. Aye. Unanimous. Moving to resolution 17-02, commercial refrigerator obsolete.
Yes, sir, we have the commercial refrigerator out at Station 10, which was replaced with 3 refrigerators, so that the guys would have, 1, they would have a refrigerator for each shift. 2, they would also have an ice maker, because the ice maker that was out there was gonna cost us $2,500 to replace the ice maker. So it was actually cheaper for us to replace, the refrigerator with ice makers and 3 individual than it would be on ice makers. So that's what we did. So we have a 3-door commercial refrigerator that we would like to make obsolete and put out for bid to sell.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Sell it.
Vote. Aye. Mike?
Mike voted
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, all right, unanimous. All right, just a couple of things. We got a ER, Justin ER is doing a grand opening, and the commissioners and chief, I guess, have been invited. We were supposed to RSVP by February 10th, but I'm sure
I
they'll
told
still.
them that I will be there, so I can
Okay.
bring whoever out, so.
All right, it's gonna be on Wednesday, February 15th,
Tomorrow.
2017 at 3 p.m.
Right.
So I'm gonna try my best to go,
Thank you, sir.
so I'll be there.
Is there food? I'll be there.
Okay,
Yes.
and then we have a second invitation, Zone 2 Suites by the Hilton. They're having a grand opening celebration with food, fun, room tours, and door prizes, February 16th between 4 and 7, and we're again invited to that. Any commissioners wish to attend?
That's Thursday.
We're welcome to go.
The ER, I think, was very important, because of the ability, additional facilities for our citizens, so.
And that's a Fort Walton Beach Medical Center facility that they're opening up, basically at the county line, I think.
Yes.
All right, anything else the commissioners have?
That's all their safety nets, so you can't get Sacred Heart.
I wasn't gonna say that, but yes, sir, that's correct. That is correct.
Oh, next regular meeting is scheduled March 14th, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. here at Station 9. Nothing in front of the board from the commissioners, meeting adjourned.